Yes, we can hear you.
All right, fantastic. So we're recording the session. Thank you all for joining once again. Welcome to all the first timers who are joining for the very first time our training session, and welcome to those of you who've been with us in the past. We're really excited tonight to have this session with Dr. Sethi.
Thank you.
She's been an incredible asset to us in the past, and we believe that new insights, as well as some refreshers of the trainings and some of the concepts that we've heard about previously. So I'm actually having the pleasure today of introducing our key guest for the session today and our trainer, Dr. Beginning, and she is for children that helps them to achieve, enhance, empower, and optimize their learning. Dr. Sethi has a doctorate, that's a PhD in learning disabilities from the University of Delhi. And she's a certified SOI systems practitioner under the SOI Systems Oregon in the USA. Currently, she's pursuing her educational therapy certification from the University of Santa Cruz. So even though she's done her PhD, she's not stopping there. She's still going further into the study of education and is getting that certification. And she has extensive experience as an SOI systems in cognitive skills trainer. She's also a reading therapist under the Orton Gillingham process and is licensed coach for the listening program from Advanced Brain Technology. Dr. Sethi also has a certification for Brain Gym 101 program for mind and body coordination. And she's been working with children with learning disabilities and ADHD for over 20 years. That's, I mean, for longer than some of you have been in the education space, I'm sure. And she's also been working with multiple children with ADHD, but her philosophy for education engages the belief that everyone has the inherent capacity to be what they want to be when they are provided with the opportunity to learn in the manner that is best suited for their individual strengths. And what we actually need, she believes, is a new paradigm in education where all means all, and we're able to nourish the belief that all persons have value and all children, all persons have the ability to learn. So that's Dr. Sethi's profile. We are really thrilled to have her today. And I'm going to hand over to her so that she can actually start the session for us today and share with us some key nuggets that we can take away with us today. Dr. Sethi, thank you so much for coming. And we're honored, and it's a complete pleasure for us to have you again this evening.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. Thank you. And I'm honored to be a part of this whole group here, presenting to a small, intimate group of 20 people with us, including me. And so today, I think most of the people who are here may have attended our previous sessions about what exactly are learning disabilities, what are types of learning disabilities, and classroom management strategies, assessments, and all those topics we had covered earlier. So today this is a different topic. It's related and very valid in today's time. I am going to talk about the perceptual motor training, what it means, what and why. What are perceptual motor skills? Why do we need to understand the perceptual motor skills, and how are they related to our study area of interest in the learning differences? So let me start sharing my screen here, and the topic here is today for my today's presentation is perceptual motor skills: what, why, and how. So, a typical classroom situation when we see that maybe a teacher from second grade classroom observes a child with the following symptoms or behaviors in the classroom, that the child cannot sit still through a half an hour lesson or a session. She's disrupting the classroom, and he often seems or she often seems to be distracted and doesn't pay attention to what the teacher is saying bumps into kids in the lunchtime, is very accident prone, can't hold a pencil correctly. And can you all see my screen? And I will put it on the slideshow mode here. Yeah, so he gets upset
Yes,
when
we
asked
can
to,
see your screen. Thank
so he gets upset when asked to switch from one activity to another, and there are many, many meltdowns during assemblies or may have to leave the gym. So even as a parent, we start sometimes feel starting to observe these kinds of characters in our and behaviors in our children. What do we make out of these? Okay, what do we think as a parent or as a teacher that what these behavioral symptoms are indicating? Is this, in more often than not, we will see that these are the signs and symptoms of attention deficit disorder, with or without hyperactivity. So, uh, but these are not the signs and symptoms of ADHD only. These could be the symptoms of sensory processing disorder, wherein ADHD, attention deficit disorder, with or without hyperactivity, may have some overlapping, and there could be some common signs and symptoms between sensory processing disorders or and ADHD. Both the children who have ADHD as well as sensory processing disorder will be restless. Will have inability to concentrate. There will be a limited ability to control their emotions. They may be having anxiousness, frequent meltdowns. Further, we have also seen that the children with ADHD have dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and other learning differences too. So, and what happens with the children with learning differences, with dyslexia and dyscalculia and dysgraphia? We see that there are some challenges. The children with with disabilities may have some challenges with interpreting the sights, sounds, and sensations of touch and movement. At times, they have challenges in controlling their muscles effectively. For example, gross motor muscles, where they may be having trouble in running, jumping, hopping, or climbing. And at times, we have seen that children with dysgraphia or dyslexia have fine motor difficulties where they cannot have a proper pencil grip. They may have challenges with zipping, buttoning, unbuttoning, and tying the shoelaces, and lacing bead activities. So these are okay. And then okay. So, dyspraxia is another common type of a learning difficulty of motor skills and balance and coordination skills. And which is not a part of learning disabilities, but it is again one of the major struggles with children uh, with overlapping behavioral symptoms of ADHD or learning differences have. So, what do we see that uh, this difficulty of getting the our children's hands and body to do what their head is thinking, and it creates problem with catching and throwing the balls, with managing forks and pencils and combs, and with many other essential skills. So what are these issues? How does a child acquire the complex and sequential tasks as jumping or climbing? How does a child acquire the complex skill to tie a shoelace or write through on the page? So, what are these abilities and what do we observe with all the overlapping signs and symptoms of motor difficulties as well as restlessness or attention span, focusing issue, balance issues, accidents issues? What are these signs and symptoms? And how do we discriminate that what are these symptoms about? So, first of all, the child has to go to to a developmental pediatrician and a psychologist to understand what the diagnosis is, and then all these challenges, overlapping signs and symptoms of ADHD, sensory processing disorders, dysgraphia, dyspraxia, and other learning differences can be attributed to perceptual motor skills in human beings. So, how do we address that? So let's understand what are these perceptual motor skills. So, perceptual motor skills refer to a child's developing ability to interact with his environment by combining the use of our senses and the motor skills. So, this is viewed as a process where visual, auditory, and tactile sensory abilities are combined with emerging motor skills, including gross motor skills as well as fine motor skills, to develop a combination of perceptual motor skills. How does information received by through perception of visual, auditory, touch, and movement gets interpreted, and how our brain passes on the information to our motor skills, including that how do I hold a pencil, how do I see and then translate it to the written part, how do I see a thing and copy the same pattern in my notebook, how do I tie, looking at my shoe, give the command to my hands to tie the shoelace properly. All these things are very, very complex in nature, where a lot of input goes in and lot of expectation of output is there. How what the information goes in through the sensory channel and how that information gets processed, and the output comes to the motor activities, be it gross motor skills or fine motor skills or balancing skills or temporal skills or the orientation skills. So, what are gross motor skills? So, gross motor skills include the movement of large limbs or the whole body, as in walking and running. And what are fine motor skills? Fine motor skills are developed with the use of fingers to grasp and manipulate objects, like how do we hold the pencil to write? How do we hold these two fingers to tie the shoelaces? How do we use our fingers to put the pieces of puzzles together? So those are the fine motor skills. And these adequate perceptual motor skills enable the children to enjoy better coordination, greater body awareness, stronger intellectual or cognitive skills, and more positive self image. Difficulties in reading as well as writing can be a direct result of poor perceptual motor development. Physical activities build neural pathways in the brain, which help to prepare the children to learn. So, improving perceptual motor skills can affect the overall child's ability to learn. And somewhere, some theorists also claim that these play a very important role in the early part of child development, and the foundation for school learning is laid during the early developmental phase, where a child's body is learning to physically is growing physically and perceptually, and his or her motor skills are building in the early part of life, as especially, which is, if we say, the toddler stage or the preschool stage. Mastery of these perceptual motor skills sets the foundation for being more active and completing important day-to-day functional activities independently, while preparing to read, write, and master more complex skills. Young children need to be taught and provided with opportunities to practice perceptual motor skills. They do not just occur overnight. It's not a part of developmental process. Some part is developmental, but some the children need to be taught these skills. But majority of the schools, when the kids enter the school system formally at the age of 4 or 5, the school expects the children to have these abilities. But sometimes the children may not have gotten the exposure. If I remember my childhood, I used to be playing outside a lot with physical games and activities, which somehow over a period of time, especially in US and some other areas, or in, even for that matter, in India and some countries, the outdoor physical activity for young children is getting lesser and lesser. Children are spending a lot of time on laptops, phones, and tablets. So they are not getting as much exposure or as much opportunity to play outside physically and build their muscles and physical coordination movement, and that leads to more complexities in the school learning process as such. Waiting until elementary school when specific sports or other physical activities are introduced to teach the motor skills, and that too, it doesn't happen too often, maybe with just 1 or 2 PE periods at time. That's not enough for the children to learn. Children who do not develop these skills in their early years will eventually gravitate away from active sports, games, and dance towards less threatening sedentary work habits or hobbies. So, perceptual motor skills can be grouped as body awareness skills, which is being able to locate the body parts and understand the function of them. Spatial awareness is being aware of the space occupied by their own bodies and how to position and maneuver in it. An example of spatial awareness could be that sometimes we see that the children are bumping into each other, and they don't realize that if I extend my arm to up or to down or sideways, where will I touch into? Will I accidentally touch somebody else or fall into the stairs or fall behind or may not be in a position that I have to think and make a judgment of my body that how much do I need to bend to sit on a chair, or how much should be the length of my step to go forward or backward, or how many steps do I need to take so that I can cover this much distance. So sometimes kids don't get that awareness. Directional awareness, differentiation between the left and right, a front and back, top or bottom, over and under, up and down, and this all involves the directional awareness. And how is this related to the school aspect of the learning? If, for example, for some reason children don't understand the concept of left and right, they will have difficulty going to give a command to their eyes while reading and going from left to right in reading. And how in math is this important to start? Even if the operation sign in math is on the left hand side, they still have to start their operation or doing the sum or a problem from right hand side. So there, if the teacher is giving an instruction for left and right, up or down, if some of the children are not aware of these directions, they will automatically have a challenge in that area. Temporal awareness is the ability to understand the concept of time passing, the sequence of events, and the prediction of how soon moving objects will arrive, or how much time will it take them for them to complete one activity. They will have challenges in looking at the time in clocks, or how much time is spent by while they have been working on any activity. So now I have given enough background on what are perceptual motor skills and how are they related to the school learning and why are these important. Now, how can we practically uh, train the children to work on to improve their perceptual motor activities? And there are a lot of some structured programs available where we can do a assessment where they need help, and then customized in a customized way we can create a plan for these children. But a group of professionals who work with children with these disorders are the occupational therapists. They do a very structured work with children who have serious conditions in developmental delays in their motor abilities, with other physical conditions also. But I am, for our practical reasons, combining some activities, these more general activities which will be helpful for children in an inclusive setup for all the children, but specifically who need the help. So I have divided these activities into three groups or three areas: warm up activities, balance activities, bilateral means both sides of our body, visual motor coordination means motor coordination related to visual aspect, directionality, and laterality. So these are the three areas. I have clubbed some general activities which we can do in inclusive setups, or as well as in a private practices or in a one-to-one situation. So we will begin with the warm up activities, and just as a regular guide information, these these activities can be done maybe before beginning a session, or in the middle of the session, or at the end of the session, just to break the monotony also. And the um basics of these activities is going to different parts of my experience, and different kinds of programs available. Some of these activities are being like inspired from brain gym, and some of these activities are inspired from yoga. Some of these activities are being inspired from integrated practice protocol program of structure of intellect SOI systems. So I'm giving some general guidelines and general activities which can be modified, adapted in the classroom situations, or when we are working with children in independent situations. And I'm going to give all the resources and links in the slides, so that you can you can get further certified in brain gym or SOI systems. But I am giving some general instructions and general guidelines for what we can do in our classroom situations. So first is neck rolls. Neck rolls relax the neck and the shoulders. Breathe deeply, relax your shoulders and drop your head forward. Allow your head to roll slowly to the right and then to left. I can show you, or maybe in circular left, or maybe left, right. Try to see that your chin is touching your neck, and we are trying to move to roll our neck left to right, right to left, and otherwise we can move it into the circular motions clockwise or anti-clockwise, both ways. So I do complete rotations also, but for young kids it could be a little challenging. So we have to be aware of their tight spots. Do neck rolls with eyes closed and then eyes open. So I have given a YouTube video also to watch, and we can all make our own adaptations and modifications wherever needed. So, belly breathing. Belly breathing is one activity which has been inspired from brain gym area. Rest your hands on your abdomen. Blow out your air in short, light puffs. And one hand can be on the abdomen. I can show you, I can stand up and show you that. Where is my hand? My hand is on my abdomen, and this on one hand on abdomen, and one hand like this. Deep breathing through the belly. So this is one. And feel your belly filled like a balloon. Repeat it a few times, out to several times. So now the next one is the rocker. Rocker helps relax the lower back. On the soft floor surface, lean back on your hands and forearms and rock back and forth slowly. With bent knees, let the tension escape. Try rocking in small circles to massage the hips. It could be done circular motions on the being on our lower backs. It and this could be done when the kids are coming after the PE or after the physical activity back into the classroom. If you feel that they are tired, we can ask them to do this activity on the carpet or on a yoga mat. Now we have leg stretches. Sit on the floor with legs spread like a V for gentle stretches. Hold your knees, hold your knee or lower leg and gently stretch, moving your head in the direction of your knee. As shown in the pictures here, that there can be many variations in these activities. Like the children can be asked to stretch further, hold the stretch for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, holding their toes. They can keep their arms next to the top arm if they are stretching this way or towards the leg. That keep your arms close to the ear. Then this way, and then They can, and as a background, in the background we can use a lot of soothing music to play with that, so that it helps and relax the children, their mind, and they can keep their eyes closed or open. Now, next one is sun salutes. In yoga, sun salutation is a combination of around 11 to 12 steps, but we have given us uh, this is a very simple push up kind of a position when we do. Moving into our belly and assume a push up position with arms straight, stretch forward, lifting your face towards the sky. Then push backward so that you are looking between your legs. Repeat slowly. And I have given specifically the pictures which are related to kids, so that we get an idea, and we can move forward and for the reference of the participants here, I've given the videos as well as simple instructions, so that we follow these. And in case there are some questions, we can keep on adding them to the chat section, and we'll come to these questions towards the end of our session. Now, next is the shoulder rolls. Relax your shoulders with your arms hanging at your sides. With deep breaths, move your shoulders in slow circles, paying attention to the range of motion. We can go forward shoulder rotations, then we can go backwards, and then we can do another activity of arm rotation, keeping our hands like this, like these are all the stretches as well as the warm up exercises in yoga or anywhere else, so the kids can do their own variations with the help of teachers. Now, these were a few warm up exercises. Now I'm going to the balance part. The ability to balance is essential to most complex movements. Simple tasks as holding up your head while scanning the room, sitting on a chair, standing and walking, all and all require the balance, the ability to make postural adjustments and maintain equilibrium while moving or stationary. Children develop balance by raising their heads as infants, reaching, rolling, crawling, creeping, standing, toddling, walking, and all these activities. Balance allows the children to be physically active, to explore their worlds, and to develop large muscle control that follows the fine motor as well as visual motor play. So, now how can we improve the balancing abilities? For example, the first activity could be balancing an object on the head. Put a bean bag or a small object or an apple or some orange on a child's head. Ask her to stand and balance, then walk forward and backward. Make up the interesting movements. Try a ruler or a book or a pencil. And when the children are walking forward and backward, as an addition, we can keep some mark on the floor, like, or a duct tape which is placed on the, or a wooden beam of some length is there, so that sensorially they are experiencing something on their feet to walk forward as well as backward. Or they can use as in the classroom situation, we have the circle time, or for the circle time sometimes teachers put a duct tape and cross spots for where the children have to sit. Those are the visual as well as the sensorial experiences for children to have. So we can create that kind, walking on the line, and then the children can walk forward touching their toes to heels. So that is another activity, balancing with something small object on the head, and by touching they can walk straight also, and then another variation can be walking touching their heels to toes straight. And if they want to maintain, and if they have to keep their arms straight like this, straight extended, to maintain a balance, sometimes this can help them. So we can allow them to keep their arms extended to maintain the balance. Then there can be a lot of balance board activities. What's a balance board? It's a rectangular board approximately 24 by 18 inches with attached rockers beneath. I'm going to show you some examples of these. These kinds of balance boards are available. We can get them made customized according to the needs. From Amazon, there are so many things available. There are local people who can help us get these made. So, balance board provide an easy way to stimulate balance using simple equipments in a small space. By combining balance with other activities, we can help our children develop new skills to automaticity. What can we do with the balance board? Like when the kids are standing on the balance boards. For young children, we can play catch with a large ball while balancing. Play bounce catch with a large ball. We can hold a ball like this in our hand, and let me if I can go outside and get a small bean bag and show you. I don't have it. Give me a moment and I will be back in a moment. I don't have that ball in my room. Let me get it. I have a ball right now with me here. This kind of a bean ball I can use. And if I am standing on a balance board, I can do, and if I'm standing here and the kid is in front of me, I can do a lot of catching and throwing. I can do for this movement with my students, and I can ask the students to, for my visual coordination skills, the child is standing or a person is standing on a balance board, and I can ask them to do this 10 movements and follow and track the beanbag or the ball with eyes. And then if I have to do the other activity with both my hands, I will go to my right side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then in the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then on my other side. So what is happening? We are crossing the midline of our body, and the child is tracking this bean bag and trying to balance at the same time on a balance board. This is a multiple like activity which is developing a strong balance skill, visual tracking skills, eye hand coordination skill. And this another activity which I can add on to here is like on the balance board from left hand side to the right side. And my eyes are still following the beanbag. And then on the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are for the children who these activities really help. Then we can catch, then we can use the similar activities applying for math concepts like counting by twos and phonics. We can do it in the spelling and phonics also. While balancing, we can do the skip counting with partners by twos and threes and fours. For example, two children are standing on the balance board. They can throw and catch the balls, and by 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Then with 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Counting by fours, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. So skip counting, counting by twos, threes, fours, skip. And how can we apply the balance board activities with spelling and visualization? Recognizing the flashcards while balancing, spelling the words while balancing, spell a word from memory backwards, remembering the picture of the whole word while balancing, integrating the sensory systems by tossing the beanbag with accuracy at a target while balancing. Toss the beanbag at a target at a target while balancing. For example, let me show you, yes, at this kind of an activity. The child is on a balance board, and if we keep these kind of things in front of a child at a distance, the child has to put a beanbag at a target at number 1, 2, 3, or in a red colored hole, or a yellow colored hole with in a blue colored or in a green colored. So this is going to help them to build the focus. Let me go backwards. Okay. Now, um, we have some more activities like touching. There we can do suspend a plastic ball with suspend from the, if there is a ball hanging from the ceiling, we can do somehow have a ball which is hanging, and then the child can be on the balance board and toss the ball with the left hand or the right hand. Touch the suspended ball with a stick or a bat using right side and then left side. Then playing the game of ring toss, putting the toss that we have a game we used to play this. Should I let me find out a picture and I'll share that thing with you. Play pick up the sticks on a table while balancing, playing with Legos on a table while balancing, balloon batting while balancing. Use the plastic bat or the rolled up newspaper. But like if you can have the filled up balloons and the two children are standing on the balance board, we can play like the table tennis or a balloon batting. The children have to target hitting the balloon with the plastic bat or the rolled up newspaper. Skywriting or lazy aids. I'll come to the skywriting and lazy aids in a few minutes, and in the mean, as we are talking, I we will try to find some pictures of the suspended plastic ball activities and tossing activities too. Now, how can we extend the thinking skills with the balance board? Now, if the child is standing on a balance board, we can solve math story problems while balancing, play visualization of the tic-tac-toe while balancing, reciting a poem or a song while balancing. We can play Simon Says game while balancing. Now, how can we improve the balancing activities using mini trampolines? Mini trampolines or the rebounder activities give our vestibular and the proprioceptive. Vestibular is and the proprioceptive sense are the balancing, build our balancing state, and how our spatial orientation builds. These are because of the vestibular and proprioceptive systems in our sensorial and motor development of the human beings. And mini trampoline activities help in kinesthetic stimulation, movement stimulation, combined with motor planning, body and spatial awareness. Toe raises, jumping, running in places with cross patterns. Okay, so toe raises, like you can see in this picture that this boy has been on a trampoline in my own center, where the children of, for example, I will demonstrate some of the activities myself. Imagine that I am standing on a mini trampoline and I'm trying to, let me see if I can show you my feet, if I can. Let me stop sharing my screen and show you. uh, Let me pull. Okay. Can you guys see me in a bigger screen at your screens?
Yes, yes, we
Okay.
see you.
So if I raise my feet like toes, imagine I'm on a balance board and I'm raising my toes like this, toe raising, and in that situation, if I ask the child with a target, if I say, okay, up, side, down, front, up, side, down, front, up, side, down. Simultaneously, I'm trying to balance on the mini trampoline and doing these activities. And the children can be asked with this, with the toes, Jump and turn to the right side. Jump and turn to the back side. Jump and turn to the right side. Then jump and turn to their front side. So all these activities can be done. I am not jumping here because there is an injury in my foot, but I could have demonstrated how you jump and turn to the different sides. And with a banner, if I show you, let me share my screen again, and I can, let me, where is my, okay. Okay. Yeah. So when we say quarter turns, or if in this picture, when you see that there is a banner behind on the wall with different colored circles, then we can ask the child to be on the trampoline and focus on those circles and some targets on the banners in on different on our walls there. So quarter turns with arm patterns, play catch while bouncing, jumping jacks, side to side leg movements, jump and clap, jump and count, jump and spell. So there are some trampolines which come in different shapes and sizes with the kids to hold on and do multiple kind of activities. And these are just some suggestions. We can make our own adaptations and modifications for these activities. Using a balance beam. As I was discussing with you earlier, either there could be a wooden balance beam where the children can be taught to walk in a straight line, maybe just with this the way this child is walking, and we can guide them by walking with by touching their toes to heels, heels to toes, so that they have to focus and pay complete attention, as well as to concentrate and watch simultaneously where they're walking and how their movements are. Stepping stone. We can have some plastic shapes in various colors which can be placed in the walking pattern on a floor. Step from one shape to the next. Variations include walking backwards, choosing one color, which is always used by the right foot only, and creating difficult stretches between the shapes. And once we are outside, we can draw stepping stones with chalk on the driveway too. I will skip this here. I'll go cross crawl in the bilateral ones. Games and activities that can be that improve the balance: bicycling, hopscotch, snowboarding, swimming, dancing, rollerblading, martial arts, swinging, skiing, twister, skateboarding, ice skating, gymnastics, and all these things. So these are some games and activities which help in the balancing skills. Now we come on to the bilateral motor skills. What
So,
is a
sorry, we
bilateral?
can't see the screen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're sharing your own screen.
Oh, let me see. Where am I? Let me show. Okay. Let me. Can you see this now? Can you see my screen?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, let me go back. Did you get to see these games and activities?
No.
Okay, I just did you see this balance beam? I can go back.
Yes, we saw the balance beam.
Okay, so using a balance beam, then we can use the stepping stones. Uh, we can use some plastic shapes in various colors that can be placed on in a walking pattern on the floor. Step from one shape to the next one. Variations include walking backwards, choosing one color which is always used by the right foot only, and creating difficult stretches between the shapes. Once we are outside the classroom, outdoor activities can be where we can use the chalks on the driveway or in the playground. Okay, some games and activities which help in the balancing are bicycling, hopscotch, snowboarding, rollerblading, dancing, martial arts, swinging, swimming, gymnastics, and all these activities. So, what exactly the third category which we discussed was bilateral motor skills. Uh, the development of bilateral motor skill is an important milestone in the maturation of young child. Children who struggle to run gracefully, throw a ball with accuracy, or learn to skip may be labeled as awkward or clumsy. More important, they are often the same children who struggle with near point vision, like when they are holding something very close to their eyes, it is difficult for them to read that part. And their hand-eye activities, because if I'm using my left hand to put the thread into a needle or lace something into a beading activity, so I'm involving eye and hand coordination. So bilateral means involving both the sides of our human brain and then coordinating these commands, instructions from the brain to our eye, from our eyes to the hands on different parts of the different sides of our bodies, can be very complex and it can be very difficult for some children. Learning to coordinate the two sides of the body reflects the ability to coordinate the right and the left motor cortex of our brain, usually in combination with visual, auditory, and vestibular input. Vestibular input is the vestibular part, is the balance and the postural control of our control system of our body. Children develop bilateral motor skills as they learn to crawl. When you watch a baby crawling, a toddler crawling, what do you see? That one arm and the other knee or the leg is going in the opposite direction. So that is how the children are crawling. So that's the natural way of the developmental process in a human child, where it comes automatically. And sometimes, as from a developmental aspect, sometimes we hear a lot of times from parents that our child did not crawl, he started straight away walking. That's not a good sign. Every developmental phase and stage is very important in the child's learning process. So we should not try that if the child has skipped one part or not done spent enough time on one activity, it's not a good sign. It is very important for a human child, a kid, to sequentially go from one stage to the other in a hierarchy. And the foundational skills are very important for the higher order of learning, be it reading, writing, and math. We assume that these activities or these developmental stages automatically occur, but we have to give enough stimulating and enriching environment for the kids to develop these abilities and skills too. So, children develop bilateral motor skills as they learn to crawl, walk smoothly, cross midline with hands or feet, catch and throw balls, skip, march, swing, skate, and play with joy. What can we do? Skywriting. Extending our arms and hand, then writing in the sky using big letters. So, for cursive writing, or the skywriting is used in the phonics also. If skywriting is difficult for the children, we can give them initially as a pre-exercise to skywriting, giving them some sand letters or shapes of physical. For example, if I give this kind of a thing, tracing over the 8, I can ask the child to trace this 8, or I can give them in a cursive pattern anything to write on with my fingers or with a marker. A, B, C, or D, so, or numbers for that matter. Then I take it out away from them, showing them one card. Can you write, uh, for example, from this book? If I ask them, if there is a book like this, can they read what is written, movement and learning? Or if there is just the ABCD, they can look at this book and skywrite looking at the visual stimuli. And we have to make sure that the children start from the left side, skywrite, and This can be combined by being on a balance board or on the trampoline. Make sure to start on the left side and move across your field of vision towards right. So what is happening if I'm going from left to right? I am going and my eyes are crossing the imaginary midline of my body. Where is my midline of the body? Somewhere in the center. If I divide myself into two parts, left and right, I go from left side and towards the right side. My eyes are following my thing and I'm crossing the midline. We can do the vice versa also. By using your hand in both visual sides, you connect the motor experience with both visual sides of the brain. We are crossing the midline and we create a kinesthetic awareness of the shape of a word. Kinesthetic awareness means how the strokes of the words or the shape are there. This is a wonderful way for early readers to get to know the feel of a symbol or a letter. Footprint patterns. Using plastic right and left footprint patterns or using chalk foot shapes on a outside surface make a pathway for your child to follow. Ask your child to step on the right foot shape with the right foot, etc. Make some steps farther than others so she has to or the child has to stretch. Consider placing some footprints across the midline so the children stretch in front of one foot to reach the next print and they are crossing the midline. Some of the variations for footprint patterns can be using spaces where a student must make a 1 or 2 foot jumps and walking backwards on the pathway. We have to make it interesting and fun for the children to learn. So these are some kind of footprint examples, pictures what I've shared with you. Now we come on to the cross crawl activities. Okay. Yeah, so the basic cross crawl activity is inspired from the brain gym. And so cross crawl, I can show you how it is done. Then you can read it from the slides later on. Cross crawl activity is like, uh, for example, I am touching my left hand or the left elbow to my right knee and my right elbow to my left knee. Or if the child find it difficult, what we can do? Start with a homo crawl from one side. We can ask the child to hold his left hand and touch it to the left knee, right hand to the right knee, so that they get the hang of it. And if it's difficult for them to touch the knee to the knee to the elbow, they can touch hands. And we can add uh, this activity faster or slower with a music beat going on in the background. So what other cross crawl activities can be there? Swimming, marching, and the backstroke or the crawl in swimming is important as the example. Skiing, cross country skiing, running. Variations include touching your elbow to the opposite knee, which I showed you, while walking. And so we can do lying down on the floor also. In yoga, there is a stretch while lying down. You are touching the right hand to the right to the left knee and the left hand to the left to the right knee in yoga while you are lying down. And there are many stretch activities in yoga which also build the cross crawl activities. Cross crawl activities like if I use my hand and go and touch my opposite side of the toe, I will use my right and touch my left toes and touching right my left hand with the right knee. So, or I can be doing the trying to touch my shoulder with my opposite shoulder with my opposite arm. So all these are crossing the cross crawl and holding myself like this with different arms, hugging myself, and I'm switching my arms up and down. Skipping. A smooth skipping, uh, okay, smooth skipping motion requires coordination of left and right sides, body awareness, and motor planning. Skipping develops cardiovascular strength and general agility. The ability to skip smoothly often indicates a readiness for sustained near point vision and visual motor activities. Brachiathin. Brachiation is a fancy name for swinging from arm to arm on an overhead ladder or monkey bars. Brachiation requires strength, hand eye coordination, depth perception, and a coordinated use of right and left side. Kids playing outside on the monkey bars is an important activity. Balloon race. Hitting a balloon in the air requires visual motor coordination by hitting the balloon with alternate hands, like, and the activity uses bilateral motor skills. Variations include standing still, walking, striking the balloon with a plastic bat or paddle, or racing through a course while keeping the balloon in the air. Another variation for this is a lemon in a spoon race kind of a thing. Holding a lime or a lemon in the spoon and putting it in your mouth and asking the children to walk at a distance, walk for 100 meters or starting with 20 meters, 25 meters without letting the lime fell off from the spoon. Many kids find it very difficult to do that. And there could be many different parameters. There could be many parameters and variations if the child can walk on a balance beam with a spoon and a lime in that and without letting the lime falling off the spoon. Another could be how much time the child is taking to move from one spot to the other without the line falling off from the spoon. Then uh, how are they comparing? How are they practicing with themselves and with other children? The other activity is jumping jacks. Uh, the standard exercise is a great tool for enhancing body awareness, coordination, and even fitness. Remember to use each exercise with students who can be successful with this activity. Many 4, 5, and 6 year olds will not be able to do a smooth jumping jack. Try something different until they are ready. Smooth, slow jumping jacks create oops, conscious awareness of body position. Practice 10 to 10, 20 or more repetitions with children who are ready for this activity. Tapping and clapping games. Using two hands, model a tapping sequence. There are so many games which we were playing as kids, that something with our partners, with some tapping sequence mixed with some music and songs. And for example, clapping and tapping activities. Many clapping and tapping activities will be done locally in the cultures also, which help in a lot of bilateral coordination. And using the local games and activities and music and songs is a good idea in tapping and clapping games, building our local games. Soccer dribbling. Dribbling the soccer ball from one foot to the other develops bilateral skills and foot eye coordination. As with all the skills, start slowly. Variations include walking and running slowly and passing it back and forth to a friend. Hookups. This exercise was developed by Paul and Gail Dennison from Brain Gym. People begin hookups by crossing one. I can show you how it is done. The picture I have here, something like that, and I am going to show you how this is done. Okay, my right ankle is over my left ankle, and the left arm is going like this. Lacing my fingers, I get it inside, and I do it a few times, 3 or 4 times or 5 times. Then I unlace my fingers and hold it like this. The next step is to change. Now my left leg goes over the right leg and my opposite arm is over. Infinity walk. Let me show you the design. This kind of a pattern can be drawn on the floor. Something similar to this, sideways 8, lazy 8, trace the 8, variations of infinity. So, so walk this pattern we using a smooth gait with arms loose and swinging for 1 to 10 minutes. This pattern helps us to focus on balance, visual thinking, and bilateral motor coordination. Variations include tapping on the upper thigh as it comes up to your opposite hand as you walk, listening to music, conversing with a friend, singing a song, and we can find a detailed explanation of the benefits of this exercise in a book by Deborah Sunbeck. And I have given the link. I think I can share the link and add the link to the in the deck of the slides. This now we are almost done with the presentation. We will leave some time for our question answer sessions. There are certain structured programs and progressive programs in the area of cognitive skill training as well as in the perceptual motor training pro areas, because and these are but most of these programs require a licensing or a certification, so we can coordinate something later on to come for some of these trainings to be coordinated in Ghana through Africa Dyslexia Organization. But some of the references I can give you is the SOI IPP. The website link is there. In that program, that's a perceptual motor skill training program as well as the cognitive skill training program. uh, I am certified in that area to work. I can train some trainers also on that, but I need to get a license from SOI Systems to train in other countries. And that program, what it does is it evaluates the 26, 27 learning abilities as well as about 11 to 13 perceptual motor abilities which are needed in visual tracking and balancing and bilateral coordination, which are considered to be an important part of our school learning. We do an assessment, then we create a long term plan for the child to follow for the treatment and work on that part. There's another program called Brain Balance Center, and they also offer treatments. I don't know if they offer international training, but I have shared these resources for us to understand what are different organizations and institutions offering and what types of programs are available. There is another program called Learning RX. They have some international centers called Brain RX that was developed by Dr. Ken Gibson. And then there are some program called BellaViz X, learning breakthrough program, which was developed by with the balance boards and a lot of it's also a very very structured program. Then brain gym activities. I will add a couple of more. There is one program called Pyramid of Potential, equipping minds, and all these people are doing their individual research. And as we are getting new and new research available in the areas of brain training and how the brain is plastic and it's not static, we still have a lot of research in the area which says our we can train the brain to unlock our human potential so that the children can work better and improve their intellectual quotient and cognitive skills as well as perceptual motor skills. So, and If we build these foundational skills along with the multisensory educational strategies, the growth and development and the improvement in children's abilities is faster and for a longer period of time. Thank you so much for listening to me. I will stop sharing my screen and we can go to the question answers now.
Thank you for the presentation. We love it.
Do we have some questions? I'm waiting for some questions to be there if people have some questions. Okay, I get some a question from Emmanuel there. Please, how often do children have to engage in these activities? So it depends. So if we have um, these can become a part of our regular classroom instruction activities also, and we can keep them as brain break sessions in between, and a few times like warm up, the deep breathing exercises can be done at the beginning, maybe a couple of times in a day, and when the kids come back from there's a these can be used during the transitions times from one activity to the other to break the monotony of the activities happening in the class, depending on the schedule as well as the needs of children. If not for the whole classroom, we can incorporate these activities for just a couple of students to if we know that there is a child, even if the child has a diagnosis or no diagnosis with ADHD, but still we feel that the child gets distracted faster, we can pull out some children a couple of times, ask them to go on the balance board, take a little break, and do some a warm up or the bilateral activity or a brain gym activity or like a cross crawl hookups a few times and then go back to the activity. And we have to be very subjective how often the child needs it and how many times can we incorporate in our inclusive setups by using different permutation combinations there. I hope I answer your questions, Emmanuel.
Yes, please. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If we have more questions, I can be there for some more time. Uh, how related are these activities to brainstorming? Okay, so brainstorming is mainly about like brainstorming is a name given to a pre-writing skills or a pre mainly to pre-writing skills where we are brainstorming to get some ideas to generate some ideas for writing thoughts, writing ideas. But brainstorming is used not in a literal way by creating a storm in the brain, yeah, but we are creating some storming of the ideas in our brain, which can be used before writing to generate ideas and topics and what details. Let's do some brainstorming for our topics of discussion, topics of writing for any business idea, for any classroom activity. If we have to go for some outdoor activity, let's brainstorm where we have to go. So, Emmanuel, that brainstorming is a little different. And Elizabeth has a question. Doc, please, how can these activities help children with reading difficulties? Yeah, sure. Definitely, this helps in the reading difficulties because imagine how are we reading from the blackboard or from the book or from the Kindle or on the laptop. We are all going from left to right. As we read towards the end, we change the line and go to the second line. So, and again start from left to right. If our eyes are, and that's why that is one of the indication or signs and symptoms of children with reading difficulties. We say that the children are skipping the words or skipping the lines. So, and then they are losing the space while they're reading. So, these are the indications that the child is having some bilateral or visual motor coordination, visual tracking issues are there. There is no problem with a vision process of vision as such. The child can see clearly. He may or may not need the reading glasses or the contact lenses, but that's a different story. But here the challenge is if the child is losing a focus from moving from left to right, it could be a issue of visual processing or visual perceptual difficulty where the while our eyes are moving from left to right, is that proper? And sometimes visually, the B may be appearing as D or P may appear as Q. That is again the visual processing issue, visual perceptual issue. And then skipping a line is a challenge. So that is a visual motor problem, while visual processing is how the brain is making an image of B and how our eyes are perceiving it as D. So again, there is a strong connection of perceptual motor abilities in the reading difficulties also. In my opinion, there is a very strong connection. So multisensory instruction does help in improving the reading challenges. Along with that, we do need some perceptual motor training. Literacy experts may not believe so, but I have been trained in working on Orton Gillingham multisensory teaching as well as in the perceptual motor training programs also. So I use a combination of both these kind of work. I do an assessment and then we work on this activities. So there is another question: at what age of the child can we apply these activities? We can apply these activities as young as to the children of 3 years, 4 years of age and in my opinion, some of these activities should be a part of preschool and early learning curriculum at the play schools and the preschools. And even in the older children, we can start as young as 3 or 4 years of age and continue up to middle school, high school also, depending on the needs. We can gradually, there can be a huge curriculum, sequential curriculum and activities to which that can be developed starting from as early as 3 years and 4 years pro age and going up to middle school at least. The SOI systems have a program called Learning Discovery, which is a sequential and a structured program used in the preschoolers. Some of those, and then those are the measurable activities also. How do we make it for a whole 1 year academic program? I hope all these explanations are making sense. Yeah, so there is Khadija has another question. How often are children supposed to be engaged in these activities every day? In my opinion, we should be focusing on some of the similar kind of activities every day. And we can create our own curriculum and activities going from warm up to balance and to bilateral coordination. We can help the kids get engaged in these activities every day, a couple of times, few times in the day. And these activities do not have any side effects. These are going to help everybody. For some, the use is less, but some for the other kids, it's more, and different areas are getting impacted. Yes, you can unmute yourself. You have a question, Hakizimana? Yes, you can. Okay. Yeah. Yes, you have a
Yes,
question?
yes, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
First question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Firstly, I would like to present myself. So I'm a Burundian one. So I would like to ask a question about your good presentation. I think that according to the activities that you have proposed to make for the children, you tell us about some activities, for example, a support. Suppose that you are mature. So is it necessary to make a football? For example, in our country, many persons prefer to look TV instead of doing those activities. How can you, what can you tell them? Thank you very much for your understanding.
Hakizimana, can you type your question? I'm finding it a little challenging to understand the question. Can you type your question in the chat, please? Or if somebody else can give me an explanation, I did not
Yes,
understand.
yes. Can I repeat it?
Can you just type it in?
Yes, my question is
Type,
that.
yeah, type the question in the chat box, please. Or can somebody explain me what he's trying to ask what his question is? Do we have any more questions here? Okay. Thanks, Agartha, for your message. Is Paralyn still here in the meeting? I don't see her. Do we have any more questions, or we can stop right now too?
Please, I think Pelin has lost connection.
Yeah, I think we don't have Paralyn here. So, hi
Yeah.
Khadija, how are you? Is Khadija still here? Yeah, Paralyn is entering. Yeah, yeah. Hi, Paralyn.
Hello,
Hi,
good
Doc. Yeah, I'm here.
evening.
Yeah, yeah. So we are just trying to work on a few questions and answers. We had a few good questions here. So, yeah. And if people have a few more questions, we can stay on the call. Otherwise, we can wrap it up too.
Amazing. Tonight, my connection has been really terrible, so my apologies. I've been in and out with
No,
a
no,
bad
that's okay.
internet
That's okay,
connection.
Paralyn. It happens. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to confirm you're finished now and wanting to wrap up, correct?
Mm-hmm. If we do not have any further questions, we can wrap it up too.
Okay. Okay. Great. Fantastic. So I see we have 20 people that are currently connected. So
Uh-huh.
is there any questions that anyone would like to raise before we close up?
Yeah, so there were a few questions we were discussing about those, and we had good questions. We were in a position to have some interaction, and it was good to get those questions also. So, yeah.
Okay, incredible, fantastic. So it sounds like our questions have been addressed. And
Yeah.
I mean, from the part of the session I was able to participate in, it was really great with the examples, with even the physical demonstrations that you did. So we're really grateful for that. Thank you so much for
Thank you
an
so much.
engaging session.
Yeah.
Very practical as well, with even with the examples that you showed us, the pictures, the videos, and then you showing us as well. So we really do appreciate that. Thank you to everyone
Thank
who's been
you.
able to
Thank you
join.
so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for having
We
me.
really
Yep.
appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we could
Amazing.
have some more sessions like this with a bigger number of people. And yeah, let's see how we can make it work for useful for all of us.
Exactly, exactly. And again, the training sessions are going to be made available on YouTube. So if you
Okay.
want to watch and rewatch and even share with other contacts that you have, you can definitely feel free to do that. This particular video would be made available shortly after we're done, most likely by the end of the day tomorrow. But we do have the other videos also on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for connecting. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for participating. Thank you also for your questions. And Dr. Sethi, I mean, thank you. I know this session takes a lot of time to prepare and plan for, so we really appreciate the time that you've dedicated for
Thank
ADO.
you. Thank you. Uh-huh. Thank
Amazing.
you
So,
so much.
and that's all for tonight. And enjoy the rest of your evening. We hope to see you again at our next event.
Thank you. Have a
Thank you.
great day. Mm-hmm.